Hello folks, it's the Page Chaser again. Welcome to another video. This is the second and for the moment final part of the series looking at photographs of Devon General Minibuses and focusing on the 1980s and the early 1990s. In part 1 we looked at the different chassis types used, the different bodywork manufacturers, the different bodywork converters, because as we said the Ford Transits were converted from vans, and the liveries used and their significance. In this second part we'll simply look through some photos in fleet number order. There's about 16 of them in all, I think, and we'll finish off with some timetables and maps and things, so nice and chilled. As I said in part 1, the photographs are copyright of their original and unknown photographers. I picked most of them up as a job lot many years ago at a transport fair, and I share them here simply to allow them to be appreciated by a wider audience after many years of just sitting in an envelope in the drawer in various of my spare rooms. I should mention that's because I moved house a few times. I haven't got a lot of spare rooms. I've just had a spare room in various houses, just in case you think I'm living in some sort of massive mansion, which I'm not. But as I said in part 1 as well, I don't make a single penny from YouTube. My account's not monetised, so I'm in no way gaining financially from showing these. It's just to get them out to a wider audience. And as I said, the copyright of them does stay with the original photographers, whoever they happen to be. So with all that said, we start with fleet number 22, registered A268 MTA, a Carlisle converted Ford Transit, new in April of 1984, and seen in the early days of minibus operation, the giveaway being that the blind is white on black. The background colour of the blinds was changed after a couple of years, so they had various different colours on them. It's seen outside St David's railway station in Exeter, about to start a journey on Route N to Broadfields. Most Devon General minibuses just worked the full life of Devon General. They used them until they were worn out basically, but a few did escape to other operators after Devon General service, and this bus was one of those. It passed to Allensway Coaches of Newton Abbot. Just note the reinforcing strip along the side just above the rear wheel there. We said this about in part 1. Most Carlisle ones had a sort of black rubber moulding across that, but this one hasn't. It's just got the bare exposed metal. So once again, as related in part 1, in the early 1990s, the generic city minibus service fleet names that we saw on the previous bus for the Exeter city services were replaced by 3 new titles. There were 3 liveries in use by that point: green and gold, blue and silver, and the red and yellow, which had been the original minibus livery. So the green vehicles became the Exeter Nipper, the blue ones the Exeter Bus Company, and the red ones, as seen here, the Exeter Minibus. As we said, after a couple of years of minibus operation, differently coloured backgrounds were brought in for the destination blinds, and you can see here the green background for Route E to Lancelot Road. So the bus is another Carlisle bodied transit, fleet number 25, registered A945 MDV and new in May 1984. Another Carlisle converted transit now, number 28, A948 MDV. Once again on service E, but this time on a short working terminating at Exeter High Street. One of the reasons for putting the new smaller fleet names on was to clear the advertising space for use by adverts, as demonstrated on this bus, although as you can see on the offside, on the frequent occasions that the cab door was left open, the part of the fleet name was obscured by the door. Right, the photo after this is of a bus that isn't converted by Carlisle, but this one is another Carlisle converted one, and this is fleet number 36, A936 MDV. Once again seen on an E to Lancelot Road. The front registration plate looking a little bit battered, you can't really read the registration that well. And once again the door open, obscuring part of the fleet name. Numerically next in the fleet is fleet number 37, registered A937 MDV. Another Ford Transit, but this time with bodywork converted by Mellor of Rochdale as opposed to Carlisle of Birmingham. The first arrivals of the Ford Transits were all mixed in together basically. As they arrived they were registered and numbered, so they were all lumped in, the various different suppliers. Carlisle, as we've seen, Mellor and PMT as well supplied bodywork conversions on the early ones, and they were all sort of mixed in together. You had to refer to a fleet list to see which one was which basically. Later on they standardised on conversions by Carlisle and by Robin Hood, and those buses tended to be numbered in separate series, so it became a bit easier to tell which one was which. But yeah, the early ones delivered sort of around 1984 time were all just mixed in, as we can see. As we discussed in part 1, Mellor put much bigger windows in, as demonstrated by this bus, and it's a very rare shot for an Exeter minibus because you can't actually see the full fleet name on the offside. The cab door is for once shut. 37 was new in September of 1984. Also new in September of 1984 was fleet number 43, a 259 MTA, another Mellor-bodied transit. Here seen in blue and white park and ride livery parked up next to Exeter bus station. When new, this vehicle was in the red and yellow livery which was seen on the previous buses, but was later repainted as part of the green unit in green and gold, before finally donning the blue and white livery here for park and ride services, and that was inspired by the scheme used for the Docklands Transit operations, the sister company to Devon General, owned by Transit Holdings, that ran in the East London area, not altogether successfully, it has to be said. And next up we've got another view of fleet number 43, A259 MTA, just an offside view this time. And this time it's heading for Saughton Industrial Estate on Route V. I believe it went to the industrial estate at peak times and then the park and ride site for the rest of the day. And apologies as well, I'm not really familiar with Exeter, so I don't know if it's supposed to be Saughton or Soughton. I'm sure somebody will let me know. So I will put a link in the description to this video to part 1 if you haven't already watched that, because I'm going to refer to part 1 quite a bit. I've already done so and there's more references to make. One of which is this. We discussed in part 1 that when Devon General's interurban routes were converted to minibus operation, the vehicle of choice for them was the Mercedes-Benz 709D with Reeve Burgess Beaver bodywork. A typical example was fleet number 71, registered F731FDV, new in November of 1988 and seen here heading for Newton Abbot on route X47. So a place name as Devonian as eating a cream tea next to the Ambrosia Custard Factory is the destination of the next vehicle, fleet number 48, registered F748FDV and seen on route 60 to Ottery St Mary. It's in Exeter bus station. There's a Bristol VR and a Plaxton bodied Leyland Leopard behind, both contemplating their imminent replacement by similar vehicles to fleet number 48. So another park and ride liveried Ford Transit now in the form of 527 C527FFJ, seen heading for the park and ride site at Saughton or Soughton, however you pronounce it. This one was Carlisle bodied, not Mellor. It was new in February of 1986. Initially it worked in Torbay in Bayline livery, the red and cream livery of Bayline. It was then painted into red and silver with Teenybus fleet names for work in Teignmouth, and then it moved across to Exeter for the park and ride fleet, as we see it here. And once again, as we said in part 1, Devon General bolstered its fleet of Ford Transits purchased new with a number of second-hand ones such as D830 UTF, which had been new to Alder Valley North in October of 1986 as fleet number 332. On arrival in Devon it was numbered 593 and painted into Bayline livery, as you can see it here. This was a second version of the Bayline scheme, which was identical to the normal Devon General scheme used on the Transits. The first version of Bayline had a darker red colour, a maroon basically, with cream and some blue waves separating the two colours. And this bus was another one converted by Carlisle. Also seen in a later Bayline livery, but a bit better endowed with fleet names. This one is 674 C674FFJ, new in April of 1986, and yet another one with Carlisle conversion. Seen here in Newton Abbot on a local service to the Newtake estate. Next we're back at St David's Station in Exeter and back with service N to Broadfields. Doing the honours this time is Robin Hood converted Ford Transit 720, C720 FFJ, new in January of 1986, and this vehicle had a simple livery history. It was delivered new in the blue livery that we see here, the blue and silver, and it wore the same colours for its entire life with Devon General. The only change was the substitution of the Exeter bus company names that you can see it with here for the original City Minibus service versions. And now we see a green unit vehicle, fleet number 737, registered C737FFJ, delivered in April of 1986. Another Carlisle converted one, back to the Carlisle conversions this time, and seen parts adjacent to the bus station in Exeter, surrounded by blue unit vehicles. This vehicle later received park and ride colours, as modelled here by the next in the batch, 738 C738FFJ, seen in Exeter High Street. The black and white blind is arranged a lot more clearly than the white on red version on the vehicle behind, the latter working either an RRNS to Rifford Road on behalf of the green unit. And if you can see the blind on this on the video, it does look rather cluttered on the vehicle behind. So the front one there is a lot clearer. So the final photo for this one is a bus that featured in part 1 of the series, but with its original fleet number. So this at the minute is 9402, fleet number, registration number CFJ525Y, and the painters at Devon General must have been sick of the sight of this bus. It was delivered new to Western National in December of 1982 in a maroon and white livery for Tiverton town services. Western National, as we again discussed in part 1, was split up into 4 companies in 1983, and this bus found itself working for Devon General. Before very long it was transferred to Exeter and painted blue and white and put to use on a shuttle service to and from the quay, and we saw it in that guise in part 1. With its car-style hinged passenger door, it was hardly the most suitable vehicle for PSV work. It was eventually relegated to use as a service van, for which it was painted cream with a red skirt and large Devon General fleet names. It was fleet number 2 when in passenger carrying service. That's the guise we saw it in part 1. But as we said, it became 9402 in the ancillary fleet. As can be seen, the work to convert it into a service van consisted simply of putting some black vinyls over the windows so that you couldn't see through them. It already had van-style doors. It had retained those when it was originally converted to a bus, so it didn't need any conversions to the doors at the back to make it into a van. And its final livery was the one seen here, all over cream with smaller Devon General fleet names. It was a Mercedes-Benz 307D converted from a panel van by local company Devon Conversions of Sidmouth. So next we've got a couple of timetables, starting with the red units, service E and W. This one from the 6th of July 1986. You can see the original style minibus names there. If I flip it over to the back, you can see that you could hire a minibus, and there's the details of how to do that there. Inside you've got the section of route, the first bus there, and the frequency in the early morning, the daytime and the evening. And then the last bus there as well. You've got Monday to Saturday and Sunday for all that. So route E was Exwick to Pinhoe, and route W Exwick to Whipton Barton. As you'd probably expect, the green unit's timetables were the same, just done in green. So we've got here the timetable for routes G and H and N and U. This one dated 11th of May 1986. You've got the same advert on the back, but just done in green for hiring the minibuses. And again, the frequency guides inside. So you've got route G and H, Royal Devon and Exeter Hospital to Cowley Bridge. And then if we go over to there, you've got St David's Station to the Broadfields Estate, route N. So as you can see, that had become a green unit one by 1986 rather than just the red and yellow. The first buses delivered were all in red and yellow, but when they brought in the different units, it had passed to the green unit. Then you've got the U there, St David's Station to Winslade Park. You could also get a full guide, and we've got 2 of them. This is one of the older ones with the Exeter City Minibus service fleet name there. As you can see, the 3 units when they were set up, they had different phone numbers for the green buses, the red ones and the blue. And you've got a picture of 3 of the vehicles there. If I turn it over to the back, you've got the list of services, and you can see the green unit running the A, Thorne Park Rise to Alphington, the G from the hospital to Cowley Bridge, the N, Broadfields to St David's Station, the R, Shakespeare Road to St David's Station, and the U, Winslade Park to St David's Station. The blue unit had the B, Stoke Hill to Marsh Barton, K, Countess Weir to Beacon Heath, or Savoy Hill as it was known on the blinds, as you can see in the brackets. L, Countess Weir to Pinho, S, Rifford Road to Hamlin Gardens, and T, Topsham to Beacon Heath. And the red unit had the E, Pinho Station to Exwick, the O, High Meadows to Pennsylvania, the P, Nadder Park Road to Pennsylvania, and the W, Whipton Barton to Exwick. And as you can see there, the R was noted that on Monday to Friday evenings it operated to the University campus and Cowley Bridge instead of just terminating at St David's Station. And if I open it up, you've got a map of Exeter with the various routes done in the liveries of in the colours, of the units that operated them. Route P, by the way, the buses would have displayed Crossmead on the blind, not Nadder Park Road. That's just a thing on the listing at the back. But I believe the buses in real life, or actually on the road, displayed Crossmead as their destination. So this one was from the 26th of April 1987. The second one we've got is not dated, but it's from the early 90s when they renamed the units rather than all having the City Minibus service fleet name. They'd actually renamed them into the different bits and pieces. You can see there, Exeter City Nipper for the green, Exeter Minibus for the red, and the Exeter Bus Company for the blue. This leaflet is not dated, as I say, it's from the early 90s. You've got some fares offers on the back. £1.25 for an off-peak day ticket. Blimey, it's going back, isn't it? And as you can see, you could also buy various of your season tickets at the post office. So going inside the front cover, you can see that the red unit, the Exeter Minibus, had the A, Alphington to Coach Station, B, High Meadows to Coach Station, C, Crossmead to Coach Station, E, Exwick to Coach Station, and F, Exwick to Coach Station. They also had the M, Matford Park and Ride, again to the Coach Station, and V, Cliss St Mary Church to South Street. What you will notice is that by this point the service is mainly terminated in the city centre rather than going through, and I'm guessing that was because of traffic congestion. So the green unit had got the G from Hamlin Gardens to South Street, the K from Countess Weir to Pinho, the R, Rifford Road Circle, the S, Sutton Park and Ride to South Street, the T, Topsham to Whipton Barton. So a couple of, or certainly a route there that went across the city still, Topsham, Whipton Barton, and then the Sutton Park and Ride to South Street. And then the blue unit, the hospital to Savoy Hill on the H, J, Central Avenue to South Street, L, Lancelot Road to South Street, N, Broadfields St David's Station, P, Pennsylvania to South Street, and the U, Thorne Park Rise to Cowley Bridge. You notice some of the services have changed from one unit to another in the meantime since the last leaflet was done. And you've got an advert there with some lovely painted on minibuses, very, very nice indeed. And some notes about the new frequency. The map is on the centre pages, as you can see there. You will notice the extension up at Crossmead up to Nadder Park Road is not there anymore. The bus is terminating at Crossmead itself now, rather than going a bit further up, so that route had been amended as well. And if I go over to the last bit before the back cover, you've got the frequency guides and things. It tells you the area of Exeter City there, and which services served it, when the first bus into town was, when the last one back was, and the approximate frequency, early morning, daytime and evening, and then the Sundays over here as well. So you can see the first bus from the outskirts into the city centre was about 6:30 usually on most routes, and the last one out from the high street was at 11:30. That must have been quite a spectacular sight, seeing all the minibuses setting off together at 11:30. And then the Sunday, the first one into town, was about 9 o'clock in the morning, 5 to 9, 9:05, somewhere around there. and the last one back out again at 11:30 p.m. Very, very nice indeed. I've just acquired these two maps from eBay, so yeah, pretty glad to have them in my collection. So that is it for this one. The plan for the future is to do a third part of this Devon General Minibus series, but looking at the mid to late 90s when the newer fleet were in, the Mercedes and the Iveco's with the dual door bodies and things like that. I haven't got enough material to do that at the moment, but when I have, I will do that video, and I'll put a link in the descriptions to these ones when I've done it. But in the meantime, as I say, I will put a link in the description of this one to part 1 if you haven't already watched that one. But that is it for this one. Thank you, as always, for watching. Take care, and I will see you soon. Bye for now.